Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to languages for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Masks and Nyarlathotep in the Egypt chapter. And so, we have an awful lot to get to tonight. And so, at first, we'd like to thank all our listeners and all of our supporters who help keep the show going. We greatly appreciate your support and your listening ears. So, with that said, we will begin introductions to my right.
This is Tiffany, and I play Maeve O'Shea. And yeah, things are things.
Things are things. To Miss O'Shea's right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane. And there is a really tall man walking into the room.
It's very true. At the end of the table.
This is Jake. I'll be playing Jack Doyle, and looks like we're having a conversation with the devil tonight.
Indeed, it does appear that way. To Jack's right.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tartenbach. And honestly, he seems like a nice fellow. I'm sure it's just a tea and a conversation. He'll be on his way.
And last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex playing Saint-Laurent, who is prepared to find out.
Yep, that's good because it's time to find out. So when last we left our investigators, they had found their way into an upper chamber inside a very old pyramid. And after passing through an amazingly wonderful Arabian archway, they'd inspected a space there with many astrological symbols on the wall, maps, strange writings, which some of them had deciphered. The doctor had even done a little inspection of a rather large throne. And when they'd finally covered all of the nooks and crannies of that room, they were, well, interrupted by a guest. A rather tall guest in all the sort of pharaonic trappings that one could imagine. And as this gentleman, this being walked through that archway, he'd sealed the opening behind him as the rocks melted and then melded into a shape just like magic. And the figure walks forward all the way to the throne until he inexorably turns to face the room, eyeing you just slightly, Sigmund, as he sits down.
Sigmund backs away from the throne. He's a little too close to the big guy's chair for comfort.
He leans forward just slightly, resting one of his arms there on the throne. You see the air still rippling behind him. You get that sort of mirage out of the desert feeling. And he says,
I'd like to congratulate you all on making it here. Very few have managed such a feat.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Doyle.
You find it a little strange that he knows your name for just a moment.
He's the devil, so...
He is rather tall. 8, maybe 8.5 feet tall. He's not so much wide, but he does have a fair, decent muscular structure to support such a frame. He's covered in the traditional mantle of a pharaoh. He wears a headdress of Upper and Lower Egypt. He has a beautiful inverted ankh that sits on the centerpiece of that crown. And he looks at you as if you're his subjects. You can tell.
So, you'd be Neferin Ka, or the Black Pharaoh, or both?
Names are what you make them, Jack. If you feel better calling me Neferin Ka, then please do. If the more formal Black Pharaoh is a title you prefer, then I am not here to debate you on which one you should use. You could call me any one of 1,000 names. In fact, I have been called many names.
Like the Whisperer in Darkness.
The Pharaoh smiles.
Indeed, Sam, like the Whisperer in Darkness. I think it's important for all of you to understand that there is choice at the core of any of this. What will transpire? You've been set upon this merry chase by someone who came to know me at some point. Your Elias, crusader, if you will. With a pen rather than a sword, but crusader all the same. He sought to uncover some very important secrets, he thought. He scribbled them down in these little books, as humans are wont to do. It all came apart for him, unfortunately, though. Actually, I don't know that that part's unfortunate.
I think it is. For you?
A fortune or fate doesn't truly guide my existence. Fate might guide yours. Or not.
Well, then we have purpose, and you do not. It must be a lonely existence.
Lonely? No. I have you. All of you. For whatever brief time I get with you. That's what this is about, really. This is what Carlisle came for, too. He came for secrets. He came for things that man could not teach them. It's no different than the information in your tomes. Those scribblings are all traces at the edges of what true power and information is. You seek mystery. I have many to show. I do see that you are without some of the brave souls that started this journey. I wish I could say that I knew that they would all survive, but I can't. I can't be certain any of you will survive. That's the best part.
Why are you toying with us?
I want you to understand that what you are doing now is madness. You are attempting to change history, which has already been written. You are attempting to win a battle you do not have the power to fight. I truly wish your lives were something better than that. It seems a fool's errand. You stand against me. Why? I have everything to offer you. Why?
Because somebody has to.
But why, Mr. Doyle? Why does someone have to?
Otherwise you will plunge the world into darkness that mankind was not meant to endure.
And who told you this?
Your very presence tells us this. A normal man does not melt stone to keep an audience around him. That is what scientists do to rats. I am not a rat. But I warn you, if you make me into a rat, there is no justice for cats when they're outnumbered.
No, I think that I offer very few people in life what I would offer each one of you. A path, a method, a way to change your life. Does any one of you truly want to be doing this? Do you want to be chasing around the world, pulling at strings? Getting your friends killed? Sacrificing time with your family? It seems so irrational.
It has to be done.
Says who, Mr. Doyle?
Says us.
I wonder very deeply if you had not gone to Peru, if that would still be true.
Could be right.
What say you then? All of you. I will make you an offer. A simple one, but yet one that is truly worthwhile. A blessing that only I could give.
He turns to you, Maeve. And you each sort of, in this same sort of time frame, see him turn to each one of you directly. To you, Maeve, he says,
Your father is lost beyond space and time. He exists as a form of energy. He sits at the edge of the universe, in pain, every moment of his existence, because of his attempts with magic. He is not half of what you are. I would bring him back for you, for your mother, that they could live together in peace. Put down this worrisome meddlesome with what I do. Forget me.
As much as this whole thing has been for me to retrieve my father as it is to stop this madness, it also tells me that you might be worried about the power that I have or who I follow.
You truly think your Earthborn snake worries me?
Maybe not me. Or maybe not him, but doesn't mean he doesn't have allies. And it doesn't mean I haven't had some effect. I will find another way to get him. I don't need you.
Are you certain?
you see one of the walls shatter and become this beautiful, glowing portal. You see the cosmos in it, planets. You see things you cannot explain. And at the edge there, at the edge of existence, on this rim of black and white, you see a humanoid form. And you can hear this static every time the form turns.
Put this down, and I will bring him back. His one failing was being human. He loved your mother so much. You can end this now.
I was also told that all of this was put in place to get to me in the first place. That my mother being tormented, my father being taken away, it was all to get to me. Probably to stop me from being here in the first place. I'm not going to do it.
Lillian, you hear a voice in your head. Lillian? It's immediately recognizable as Lawrence's voice. The Pharaoh turns to you.
Tell me, Miss Lane, do you feel bad still? Do you have regret over your friend's death?
His death was not my fault. His death was the fault of you and Edward Gavigan.
Poor Edward. Truly no, the fault was Lawrence's, not mine or Edward's. Lawrence couldn't stop himself from charging into the fray again and again and again. That was the sort of person he was, wasn't it?
I think that's the type of person most of us on this team are.
Would it surprise you to know that one of your friends, has the ability to bring him back to life, and they have not?
Really, when somebody dies, should they be brought back to life? Should that be a power we wield?
I suppose that is a question for the person wielding it, isn't it?
It is. I mean, if somebody passes on and their soul passes on, when they come back, are they the same person?
You presuppose that people have souls. Fascinating.
Maybe not everybody has a soul, but that is a belief I have.
My offer to you, Miss Lane, is very simple. It's twofold. It's very important. I would give you your friend back in an instant, without cost to you in the slightest. I would also unravel a very terrible, long-term bane that has been put on you. One that perhaps haunts your dreams. The violins that you hear. The inexorable pull that you are now linked to.
You mean my supposed fate?
No. Not just the fate, but the thing that wields it.
Oh, the book? Are we talking of the book?
If you would like to make it so common as a book,
I don't think it's right to bring anybody back. That's not for me to decide. If somebody dies, they should stay dead.
well, never let it be said that you did not have the ability to bring someone back. It may come back to haunt you one day. And if this means that you'll be declining my offer, then all of the hope in your human world won't be enough for what awaits you.
I decide my own fate, not some wannabe god from wherever you are from.
Miss Lane, let's be clear, you're an ant. And should I choose to, I'll just crush you.
But doesn't fate already have something else in store for me?
If I allow it, yes. I could crush you and bring you back right now.
Maybe you can. I'm sure you can.
You're sure? Even from a wannabe god?
You feel the stones tremble under your feet.
I like you, Miss Lane. I think you have heart.
Jack, you feel the presence immediate when he looks at you.
Mr. Doyle, what I would offer you is rest. You've been at this a long time. Yes? You have family in Chicago. You have a partner. Or did. I have some very keen insights that would help you unravel a very old case. Perhaps put you back on the path of being a detective. And beyond that, I would do you the biggest favor that I could give truly anyone of your species. I would give you back the gift of ignorance. I would wipe the board clean. You'd never remember any of these creatures, these things that you've seen, these experiences with the power cosmics that lay beyond human comprehension. That is a gift you cannot put a price on.
Light a cigarette, take a drag. You don't really get it, do you? You already gave me the best gift you can give someone. You didn't have to do anything. You gave me a purpose. And I would not trade that for anything.
Very well, Mr. Doyle. Your somewhat misguided purpose will be a downfall.
Then it will be a downfall. We'll see whose.
Sigmund, I worry that you're more interested in having a philosophical conversation. I'll just make this very simple. You have people that you care about. You all do. But you have something that you care about slightly more than that on the inside. You care about the arc of humanity.
Well, yeah. I am a human and it is my pleasure to do so.
There are several medical advancements that will be coming in the new age, this age man is in now. I would be willing to share them with you. Significant medical advancements. You would be able to save countless lives.
The power to save countless humans, countless people. And all I have to do is acquiesce to you. And what? Kowtow? Perhaps serve you? Or just be afraid?
Serve? No. No. Be afraid. It's unnecessary. Walk away. That is what is important. Go back to Lily and all of your wonderful patients in Chicago. I keep my eye on them often.
Well, I'm glad that they are being watched over by someone so magnanimous as yourself. But I'm afraid that I must decline your offer. And do not think that I do not appreciate it, but truth be told, you made a mistake, my friend. You mentioned Lily, and I would never be able to look her in the eye again if I agreed to any of that. Faust was a fool. I do not think you will find me to be such a fool. But, you know what? Perhaps you are just used to dealing with people that are not as intelligent. And that is okay. You don't get out much, I would imagine. Doc leans back against the wall.
I get out all the time.
Well, then you should get out.
But this is my home.
Oh, then open the door and I'll be happy to leave.
Sam, when the Pharaoh turns to you, he does so in a way that seems to show he sort of inclines his head a little bit, as if he is regarding you with a rather careful calculation.
I'm staring at the floor right now. But if I feel him looking, I will probably Sam will look up.
His gaze is impossible to not feel when it is on you directly.
As someone already in the service of the Pharaoh, it is important, I think, that you understand the offer I will make to you. I understand you believe I am your enemy. And while that may be true, only I can offer you the power to fight beings beyond the cosmos. If you truly want to make a difference, if you truly want to, as you have said to others, as you have spoke about in the dreams you've clutched, that you want to do something for humanity's sake, then the weapon, the blade there is just the beginning.
I dig around in my messenger bag for the notes that I wrote on the train when I was talking to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of rapidly flip through a few of them and mumble some things to myself. And nod. You asked why we must do this, why we feel compelled to do this. And before my encounter with Omar, I would have said the reason that Sam came into existence would have been the result of this struggle, this fight with you. But Omar ruined that for me when he broke down the wall between my lives, and now I am plagued with memories and choices and consequences that I have to take on as my own. Now, is this how you dupe your charges, how you break their minds and warp their wills? You simple bargains? If you knew what I wanted, you would know that I will revel in the pleasure of destabilizing your power. And that if we are to accept that any of the people we're dealing with are at all useful to you, that they are idiots in service of an otherworldly malintent. You are the thing behind the men. And if you are so willing to mire yourself amongst the irrelevant maggots of humanity to meet your goals, whatever those may be, it means that you understand humanity and the motivations that drive us, like power, greed, self-exceptionalism, the relief of ignorance in exchange for universal truths and power that are just destined to drive you to madness, but not before you take their minds. So no, you, like the cowards you seem to employ, have a horrible habit of letting your egos do the talking for you. And as I have been repeatedly reminded, we mere mortals are insignificant and impotent before your power and your grand might. You could snuff me out of existence and remove me as a nuisance with less than a thought. So the only reason you would have to make me such an offer would be to amuse yourself with whatever perpetual torture you've tempted me into walking into willingly. So I'm afraid you'll have to carry on knowing that the power that you've shared with me will ultimately be utilized to flay the skin from the spineless skeleton meat suits you call followers. And I'm certain you'll take pleasure in the chaos that will ensue. Sir.
With no question. Every time you pick that blade up, you do so in honor and service of me. It is such an exhilaration. I enjoy it. Truly.
If it's going to be a thorn in my side, it will be a thorn in yours as well.
I'll be there, Sam. In the darkness, just waiting. Very well.
He brings his hand together and you hear a powerful clap. You realize you're all very, very thirsty. You're not certain what's happened, but you've all sort of come out of just speaking with him.
If you see fit to say no, allow me to show you what awaits you.
He casts his hand to one of the walls.
Look at the fate of the people who sat here before you.
Is it possible not to look?
Yeah, if you're going to resist looking, it's a power roll.
Okay. I'm going to try because I don't trust it at all.
I'm going to contest your power roll.
Oh, this is going to suck. That is a hard success, 21 under 50.
You resist for the first 3 or 4 seconds, and you feel your body, you lose control of your upper portion of your body. And so those of you around who watch Sam inexorably turn, and you're all welcome to physically resist, you all inexorably turn to this other wall, the wall where the astrological chart was. And you see a jungle scene, and you see a campfire, and you see people you've seen in photographs before. You see Roger Carlisle.
Only because I've looked at it like several times. Are there any markers that would suggest that this is the same area that the picture was taken of, the blacked out area? Okay.
Yep. It's you recognize it instantly.
Okay.
You see all of the expedition. And after a moment or two, you begin to see there in the fading light of this sort of dusk scene, you begin to see creatures rush out of the brush. Misshapen, multi-appendaged, and they, for several of the Carlisle investigation, they begin, and their associated guides and travel people, they begin ripping them apart, physically clawing into them and ripping their flesh. You watch multiple people fall. You hear the bites, the crunching of bones, the screams. Even for those of you who are war veterans, even for those of you who are very cold emotionally, this is an exceedingly difficult scene to watch, and you're not able to turn away from it. And you'll all roll sanity.
$17 under 38. 41 under 47.
Hard success, 18 under 51.
Okay.
78 out of 49.
Okay.
44 out of 37.
So for those of you who passed, you lose 3 sanity. So it's very peaceful, the scene, until scores of these sort of winged snakes appear. You have seen them before, the horrors. You watch these horrors come from the sky and then come from the ground. Frightful creatures. So Lillian, you will lose 3 sanity. And Miss O'Shea, you lose 1.
Yes! Take that for $1.
It is a very beneficial roll for you.
Even the brave knew their lot.
You hear his voice overhead.
All the doors are closed to you now. All that is left is doom and struggle.
And the vision on the wall fades. And the presence leaves the room. The gems extinguish. And now it's very dark in here.
The wall.
Is the doors open?
No.
Our lives were already doom and struggle, but go be scary. I say as I start turn on a flashlight, start looking for a way out.
Why would he not take the opportunity to just kill us where we stand?
Because he's gonna take more joy at like playing with us and holding us at the end of a string and making us scared. Not saying that we shouldn't be and we shouldn't be wary, because I mean he can do anything at any time within reason. Well, I mean within his limits, because every one of them has limits. You know, whether it's butting up against another god or not. I just want to get out of here. I mean,
Yeah.
And questioning why one of these beings does anything is not a logical question ever.
Well, he said he wanted to be entertained. I mean,
Right.
what's more entertaining than watching us struggle against his machinations?
Yeah, it just means the next person we're going up against is going to be harder and more scary. And then, yeah. I did get some good information off the walls, though, but we need to talk about that
Yeah.
once we get out of here.
I got pictures of everything, so we can.
Doc is going to go over and begin examining the wall that melted together
Mm-hmm.
and looking at how it's put together. Because stone should not flow like that. And just chemically speaking, that can't be sustainable.
Okay. You go over and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Give it a few taps. I need some light over here. Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at, is there mortar here?
There is a slight bit of mortar. There's, it seems to have, the mortar that was part of the original wall work has melted together, and there are these very distinct, 5 very distinct lines that run down. They're almost grooves.
Tap across the wall, see if I can find a spot that sounds, not hollow, but different. If there's anywhere, tap, 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 tap.
No, you don't really hear anything that's different. It seems pretty solid.
I said we're going to have to get ourselves out of here.
I go wander over by the doctor and I start pushing along the wall. Is there any indentations or anything to push on?
I mean, there's some mortar lines. There's, as you guys take a look with the lights in this area, there are 5 rather symmetrical mortar lines that run vertically now on this rock face.
So there's got to be a latch or something.
See if I can wedge my cane tip in there,
Yeah.
the metal part, into one of the vertical grooves.
The vertical grooves may be no more than a foot long. It's not very deep. It seems to, at the bottom, seems to well a little bit, like there's an indentation.
Yeah, like there was a drop down. Maybe.
Did we bring our mining tools in with us?
I'm going to say that you did bring tools with you to
Yeah.
the place. I would say that there's a fair
Yeah.
guess that you'd have some, yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to have to dig our way out of here.
I'm gonna look at the archway and see if there's any like way to find like a button, a lever, something to slide, rock to turn.
Yeah, why don't you, if you're looking at the archway and stuff like that, why don't you give me a hard spot hit roll?
Don't fail me now. Dude, okay, I don't like these dice you gave me.
What did I just say?
No, hang on. What was the roll?
63 out of 75.
All right, very good. I will allow you to re-roll via the Hand of Fate.
Oh. Just advantage or reroll?
Yeah, just re-roll.
That's a 40 out of 75.
Okay, so you would need to spend some luck to make it a hard success if that's what you wanted.
4. Okay, I can do that.
Okay. So you realize something as you're sort of looking at these vertical lines in the mortar here. They're all symmetrical, and they're all about a foot or so long. And you think that they might correspond to the 5 people in the room.
Okay, so are they like up the archway or?
No, they're about at a 5-foot height level. They run about a foot vertically,
Oh, okay.
and there are these. It's almost like dashes that are
Okay. What?
present.
So, what kind of symbols are there? Symbols?
No, it's just a groove.
Is one of them shaped like me, only like an outline?
No.
It's like a tunnel I can go into.
No.
Okay.
that holds mine.
Okay. So there's 5 of us. There's 5 of these lines. So we either all need to push at the same time,
Let's give it a
slide it up at the same time.
I mean, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Everyone,
It
hands
sounds
on.
better than digging our way out.
Hands on, everyone.
Does it look like a trap?
It could be a trap.
This whole place looks like a damn trap.
I mean, right now we're trapped. So
Well, you said that there are grooves.
It's not gonna get much
I will
worse.
take the torch and kind of look into them to see. Does it just go into darkness, or is there just
No,
They're just like scrapes, right? You said like
well,
dashes.
They're dashes, so they're about, we'll say, half an inch wide by maybe an inch deep at most.
okay? Then sure, I'll push.
You're pushing along too, Lillian.
Bam.
Okay, very good. So, I would like a group lock roll.
That's James.
Damn it, James. Sorry.
Doctor, I'm going to place you at advantage for this roll.
Oh, good. Is it, it's under my current luck?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's a 37 over 3. So,
Holy shit.
22 over
Okay.
3.
So you push and push. And as you all push, Doctor, the stone bites into your hand.
Son of a...
And
Scheisse.
you lose 2 hit points. You feel it bite into your flesh.
Is that all you
I
had?
literally dropped to a knee and keel over. I don't feel so...
Fuck.
You've got a couple of hit points.
No, that's all he. Yeah, that's all he had.
Literally at 0 now.
Watch him fall over.
Okay,
First aid.
I strained too much,
Everybody's like,
pressing
first aid,
against
first
the
aid.
door. And
Ooh, first aid. Okay, so which one of you is going to do first aid?
Hold on. What? My first aid's at
You
55.
wouldn't know. Which one of you is doing first aid?
I don't know.
It'll be me.
Yeah.
It'll be
You'll
me.
the nurse.
I got him. Damn it, doctor. You had a hard success of 30 over 65.
Okay, over the next 10 minutes, Doc, you regain a hit point.
fantastic.
While the care is being taken, just out of curiosity, was there any progress made on moving anything, or?
Yes, actually. So the doc, when his hand gets bit by this stonework, right? When you can see that there's a chunk of flesh and now blood that runs through this specific slash line, this specific port in the mortar. And you can tell that it's welling down in there now. And now there's almost this sort of phosphorescent glow to that marker.
When I see that, I'm gonna cut my hand.
I'm going to nick my thumb and smear it down it.
Okay. So, Lillian, while you're administrating aid, other people begin forcibly bleeding.
Everywhere.
It's a little.
Well, how much blood do we think is needed? Is it just like a figure?
You're not really sure.
Well, how much blood did the doctor donate?
Well, he donated quite a bit, actually. 2 hit points is quite a bit.
Come on, Lillian, join us. Everyone's bleeding.
Okay. Is there any like blood showing from the doctor? Because maybe I'll take some of his and put it on the stone instead.
Wow.
Damn.
You're not really in a position to argue, but
I'm really not.
Why don't we just pour him over all of it?
Because that's not going to work. That's not how magic works. That's not how any of this works.
No.
So Miss O'Shea, you're going to what? Cut your hand?
Yeah, because I'm going to assume that it's going to take more blood than like just poking your finger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my experience with things, Lady E's book, the circle of warding,
Sure.
all that stuff.
Okay, so you can pour some blood into this hole. You'll lose a hit point.
Yeah.
In
As
doing
expected.
so, the left and the right hand side of this section of the wall have raised up a little bit. You can tell, and they've responded to the blood by receding. And that's progress check.
Okay. So my little nick wasn't enough, huh?
It doesn't seem like it now.
God damn it. All right, fine. Cut my palm.
Deal yourself a point of damage.
Mm-hmm. And then smeared through the...
Told you.
By this time, Miss Lane, you have patched the doctor up enough that he will probably not bleed to death, which is a bonus.
Lillian, you're going to have to make a little small sacrifice.
Suppose. Do you have a knife or anything
Yeah.
that I can
Yep.
use?
You have a hatchet.
So you're going to cut yourself, Lillian?
Yeah, I grab a scalpel out of the doctor's bag and cut myself.
You bleed.
And I know.
I want your hit point or your magic points.
Hush, cultist. You sacrifice and you bleed. And so there are now 4 slightly red, slightly glowing lines on the wall.
Hey, we should do.
Actually standing in front of the throne right now while there's talk about bleeding. What's the situation in the rest of the room? So as far as I understood, this throne was like heavily ornamented and there's all sorts of glorious accoutrement everywhere.
Yeah.
I pull the blade and I would like to deface his throne.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go give it a whack if that's what you'd like.
I give it a whack. I give it a whack on one of the precious stones that are adorning it.
Okay. You get a full hard hit. And all you get is a rushing vibration up your arm and shoulder. The throne doesn't budge. The blade doesn't budge. And so you get sort of this resonant tone that goes through the room and some pretty immediate tennis elbow.
I spit. I go over to the door. Or the wall, anyway.
Where your friends have been bleeding on.
I'll pull the leg of my right pant up and add to the row of scars that are already there.
Okay.
So I add a 7th.
And slather some blood on the wall. After all 5 of your precious vitae is present, the archway melds back up and becomes the same Arabian archway it was when you walked in. Except now, it's colored red.
I think we should get out of here.
Yeah, I agree.
So exiting the space is relatively easy. Walking back down the stairs, exiting the white pillar, and then finding your way through the false burial room to the west entrance is simple. You are not obstructed or stopped in any way, shape, or form.
Occasionally rely on either Maeve or Jack when, they feel a little woozy from being pretty much on E. But, follow along with them.
Okay. And then I would suppose after you hit the west entrance, since you've brought all the stuff with you, you're not going back to the safe house in Cairo. That's gone. You're in Darshur now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the next step?
Well, I guess we can discuss that as we ride away from the pyramid.
Sure.
And back to our cheap little hotel.
Sure.
Probably give the doctor a chance to rest up.
Does anyone have any water? I'm quite thirsty.
Yeah, here's a canteen.
Thank you.
I don't know. What else? What are we going to do? Are we going to do something else here? Or are we going to leave? Or what are we going to do?
You had mentioned wanting to find the expedition.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to find the expedition now.
Based on what Jan Willem was saying and what we've just seen, there's no telling what role they were meant to play or they are meant to play. And if we're looking to clean things up here, they're an unresolved thread.
Yeah, but they're just archaeologists. Even if they know exactly what Gavigan and the Penhew Foundation was doing, they're just another splinter of Dark Brotherhood here.
Hey, Doctor, what was the date on the chronometers that you figured out?
What you mean is what's the date that was given on the astrological...
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Have I had a chance to figure that out yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
The future date? Yeah, I thought we figured that out.
You did.
Yes, I tell her. I have it written down in my journal, I assume.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a little late at it at the moment. Let me look that up.
It's January 14th, 1926.
Okay, that date is the same date that was on the astrological wall.
So we have a time limit then.
Yeah.
I think we have one sooner than that. As always is a prophecy, there is a child that will be born that vast destruction will herald his birth. He's going to be born in the mountain of the Black Wind.
Okay, but if the vast destruction is going to herald his birth, we have to take care of the vast destruction first.
Yeah, but it seemed like it was that was going to happen sooner than January 14th.
Well, I'm guessing that January 14th is when this child is born.
No. Right? Because I figured out that wasn't the same.
It's indeterminable. That's the problem, right?
Oh, okay.
So the information that you have from the wall is that there is a child has been prophesied to be born,
Right.
but that destruction would herald their arrival. So heralding usually means happen before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that there is going to be some sort of destruction.
Right before the child is born. So, yeah. So maybe we got to stop whatever's going to happen on January 14th
Right.
to stop the birth. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I figured out.
And we don't know exactly what the Great Destruction, how long the heralding will go on. And
Yeah. I mean, it could be 1,000 years. I mean, the thing is time is irrelevant.
thinking back real quick, when he showed us all those people dying,
Mm-hmm.
was everybody from the expedition there?
Everyone was present that you remember. You sort of begin mentally like stepping back through. And then you realize that there are a couple of things begin to bleed forward in your memory. There was definitely a blonde white man there who you believe is Carlisle or was. And then like as you step back through your own memory of what was shown to you, you don't think that was Roger. You've seen photos of him before.
Right. We've seen everybody, several photos of everybody on the expedition.
Yeah. And the other person who wasn't in that image was Jack Brady. And the two were inseparable, as far as you're aware.
Right. But we know that Jack Brady's alive.
You have heard that Jack
We've
Brady's
heard.
alive.
We don't know yet. I think that's the next split. Like if we go to Kenya, was it Kenya?
No, Kenya's where they supposedly died.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was supposedly in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't Roger Carlisle, maybe Roger Carlisle is with Jack Brady.
Hold on.
Maybe.
I have a time. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Mike, the astrological formula for the time, how
Mhm.
specific was that? Was that down to a time of day?
Yeah.
Utilizing the time of day and the place and the date, can I figure out where on the earth it would be?
You would need a full-fledged map of the earth to do that, and you'd probably need a mathematician.
Okay. But I'll write the idea down in my journal.
Oh, if only we knew one.
You know nobody who knows numbers.
Yeah. Just don't know where he is.
Right.
Yeah, so if we find Harvest, right? Is that I can't read my own handwriting. It's Harvest. He has said that Jack Brady is alive. Roger is also in Kenya. There's all kinds of things that happen in Kenya. So we had it. I mean, eventually we got to go to Kenya.
Yeah. We also have a partial letter that we picked up in Gavigan's mansion that basically give us a lot of information that he might be Jack Brady is very likely to be in Shanghai.
Mm.
So we've got two different sources telling us that they think Jack Brady's in Shanghai.
Well, that he's alive. The one just said that he's alive.
Right. But what I'm thinking is we probably want to talk to Jack Brady.
Well, yeah.
He will know far more of what's going on in the inner workings of the group, of the Carlisle expedition, than we would. And if the Brotherhood is still active, which we have no reason to believe they aren't, getting away from Africa for a while might be a good idea.
I agree. It's a little hot here right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think even Kenya is close enough. It's far enough away, I'm sorry.
Are we not
Yeah.
making any efforts to further stamp them out here then?
I don't think so. They're going to be scared all over the place. They're going to have an easier time finding us than we will of finding them, other than the
Right.
other expedition.
We already cut the head off the dragon.
Fighting the foot soldiers makes no sense if you know where the leader is.
The only thing I would think about doing is going up to Omar's estate and seeing if we can't get in there and break in and see if he's got any information. But that's the exact opposite direction we want to go.
Do we really think that eliminating these leaders is making the difference that we assume that it does? Because, I mean, with England, even though Gavigan was dispatched, we left a replacement there. We imported a queen here. What's to say that the people that we've eliminated are going to make a difference at all, other than any immediate?
So are you saying you're giving up?
No, I'm saying we should be thorough.
We're not going to be able to get them all. And there's way more of them than there are of us.
Right. And if they've been deemed to be just followers, they're not going to get any kind of favor to become a leader.
Yeah, I mean, and there might be people within the organization that are going to be vying with each other to take over. So,
right. If we do this in fast enough pace, they won't have time to recover.
We make a lot of assumptions about their potential incompetence, I guess is what I'm alluding to.
no, we're not making assertions to their competence. We're saying that anytime you destroy an organization from the top down, the bottom layers fracture and splinter. And Alexandra isn't a follower of the Black Pharaoh. She's a follower of Yig. So she is not going to do anything to help these people. She's going to be fighting them. It'll be another 10 years. They're going to be fighting in Cairo, the streets of Cairo, between Yig and factions of the Black Pharaoh.
I don't know if we can make any assumptions about what she is.
No, but
We're not making assumptions.
we're acting from incomplete information, and we always will be. So we have to take action. And
Right. And if we stay here and just try and weed out every single brotherhood, we won't. We won't do what we need to do before January 14th.
Right. We are on a timeline.
So is it going to be China or Kenya?
I say we go to Shanghai.
I agree. And the trip to Shanghai will allow us to regroup and maybe do some healing that I'm sure, and resting that we could all use.
Okay. How do we want to get there?
I think we should probably get a ship.
I agree.
You must be out of it, Doctor.
Don't want to go on another ship.
Well, unless you know another way of getting to China from Africa.
Doc points east. That way.
Yes.
We're
my
not
ship.
walking.
So, having a little experience in Port Said, you'd at least know that there would be boats there that would go. There would probably be at least a few.
I know of a ship captain that I could contact, but I want to be honest with you, all of you. The last time we took a trip, it required me to exterminate a former British officer in his estate bedroom after strapping him upside down to a rack that he would use to restrain and torture the people he kept on his property as slaves and prisoners.
Okay, great. I don't even know why you're telling us that.
Wait.
I don't want to know.
Because we promised to be honest, Jack.
No. What I'm saying is, if we want to go to China, why would we leave from Port Said? Isn't there a port on the Indian Ocean side?
How would you get there? You could take a train north through Damascus. You could probably take a couple of overland routes you could take to get to India.
No, not get to India. The sea, the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, you'd go through the Suez. You'd go through the...
Right, I know, but why would we go all the way up to Port Said when we're down here?
You would go there because there would be boats big enough that aren't going to dock down there on...
I just figured that there was probably a major port somewhere along the eastern shore.
I would just put it out there that you're 30 miles from one of the most major ports in the world, and that's Port Said.
It would probably be easier for us to find a low-profile ship at Port Said. Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't suggest contacting a ship captain if he's going to ask you to murder people. I mean, unless you like doing that for fun.
Why don't we just take a ship to Shanghai? Yeah, we just get tickets on a ship and go to Shanghai.
I don't know why we don't have to be covert about this.
I look at Maeve and I say, the young man he whipped to death that night had clearly been immersed in that life for the better half of a decade. And his death was likely a mercy compared to his existence. And I took no small amount in pleasure in ending his existence.
Doc has his bag.
So Yeah, Port Said.
Doc begins walking in the wrong direction.
This way, Doc. This way.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Don't we have camels? We have camels here, don't we?
Yeah. we have
Why
camels.
are you walking?
Well,
Get on the camel.
Get on the camel, Doctor. So you head by camel back north to Port Said. You eventually do the smart thing, which is when you get back to the tram, you exchange the camels for tickets all the way to the port.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take the tram through Cairo, never stop, go directly to Port Said, pass through the Delta again. It probably comes to a couple of your minds that deep somewhere in that Nile Delta is a plantation house. And it's hard to know what might be there and what might not be there now. One thing is certain. The Brotherhood here in Egypt has been severely diminished of power. And the tables and scales here in Cairo especially have been tilted. What becomes of that is anyone's guess. But getting back to the port that evening, you're able to find lodgings, and you'll have an ability to, in the morning, hunt down a ship and begin making travel plans to Shanghai. And that is where we'll call Egypt to a close. With that said, we will see you next week.